All right, guys, so here's a couple of things that I wanted to go over before tomorrow's test. So a function, remember functions where every x has only one y. Remember, x is faithful. So in the graph, remember, you would do that vertical line test. If it passes it twice, then you know it's not a function. Okay, but if it passes it just one time, then you know it is a function. On a mapping, here my x column, my y column. If every x only has one arrow coming out of it, then you know every x is faithful. It doesn't matter if they're sharing the same y value. Every x is faithful. But the moment I put another line for one of the x's, like one is with 4 and 5, x is cheating. X is not faithful. X has 2 output values. So that is not a function. For ordered pairs and tables, remember you're going to look to see if any of the x's repeat. So remember, I'm only looking at the x's. The first number are the x's, and none of the x's repeat, so this is a function. But the moment I have 2 x's repeat, one is with 2, one is with 5, then it's not a function. The other thing is, what is something that's proportional? If something is proportional, that means it has a y-intercept of 0. So in a graph, all I have to see, does it go through the origin? Bam, it goes to the origin. That means the y-intercept is 0. That means it's proportional. On a table, you can do a couple things. You can put the table into Desmos and just see what the slope and y-intercept is, or figure out the slope and y-intercept. Or you can do the ratio of y over x to see if it's proportional. So 5 over 1 is 5, 10 over 2 is 5, 15 over 3 is 5. Because they're all 5, that makes the table proportional. And then in a word problem, remember, for a word problem, the slope, the keywords for slope are per and each. And the keywords for y-intercept are like that one-time fee, the initial amount, how much I start with. Okay, so if the y-intercept is 0, then it's proportional. So for example, I went to Six Flags and paid $35 to get in and $5 for each game. Well, $35 to get in would be the y-intercept, and $5 for each game would be the slope. Change that around, I went to the carnival and paid 25 cents per ticket. Well, if I didn't pay any amount of money to get in, but only paid 25 cents per ticket, my slope was 25 cents, but my y-intercept was 0, so that would be proportional. So just remember, M stands for slope. So think of a mountain, my beautiful mountain right here. It's making little M's, M slope, M slope. Okay, remember a line going up, that's positive slope. A line going down from left to right, that's a negative slope. And my keywords are per and each. For y-intercept, that's where the line crosses the y-axis. The y-axis, can't emphasize that enough. The y-axis, not the x-axis, the y-axis. Okay, that would be my y-intercept. Again, those keywords are like one-time fee, initial amount, how much I start with. Volume, just remember for volume, for a cylinder and a cone, the formula for a cylinder is V equals capital B times H, and V equals 1/3 capital B times H. Well, that capital B, I can't stress this enough. The capital B stands for the area of the base. Area of the base, not diameter, not radius, it's not circumference. It stands for the area of the base. Well, on a cone and a cylinder, the shape of my base is a circle. So on my formula chart, I look at the area of a circle, and the area of a circle is pi radius squared. So for volume formula, V equals capital B times H, capital B turns into pi radius squared times height, because the area of a circle is pi radius squared. And for a cone, 1/3 capital B times H, 1/3. Capital B is the area of the base. The area of a circle is pi, radius squared. So that turns into 1/3 pi radius squared times height. Please use your formula chart. Surface area. Just a reminder, S equals pH plus 2B. This is for a rectangular prism and triangular prism, total surface area. P stands for perimeter of the base. That would be adding up all the sides. H stands for the height from base to base. And capital B stands for the area of the base. So for a rectangular prism, I always say draw out your base. So let's say this was a 3x4x2. My base is a 3x4 rectangle. Here's my base. So when I do the capital P to find the perimeter of that base, I add up all the sides. 3 plus 3 plus 4 plus 4. The height is the number that has nothing to do with the base. So 2, the height from base to base would be 2. And capital B is the area of the base. Well, my base is a rectangle. So to find the area, length times width. 3 times 4. For a triangle, same concept. On a triangular prism, the triangle is the base. So let's say this was a 3x4x2x10, making up random numbers. When I draw out my base, 3x4x4, 2. When I find the capital P, the perimeter of the base, 3x4x4. The height, remember, is from base to base. It's the number that has nothing to do with the base. So I'm not looking at my base. I'm looking at the height from triangle to triangle, which would be 10. And capital B is the area of the base. Well, I'm looking at my base now, only looking at my base. When I look on my formula chart, the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. The base here is 3, so 1/2, 3. And the height of my triangle is 2, so 3. So those are quick reminders on your, please use scratch paper. Please show your work, okay? Trust me, it helps a lot. Pythagorean Theorem, remember that's for right triangles only. So A, B, and C. Remember A and B represent the legs. Remember your legs are what make up the right angle. Your hypotenuse is right across from the right angle, your hypotenuse. And this is the longest side on the right triangle. So if I was missing a hypotenuse, so this is 3, 4, and this is 3, and I don't have my hypotenuse, always label. So I'm gonna say this is A, this is B, this is C. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. 4 squared plus 3 squared equals C squared. 4 squared is 16, 3 squared is 9, equals C squared. 16 plus 9 is 25, so 25 equals C squared. But I'm not done because I don't want C squared, I want C. So the opposite of squaring something is finding the square root. So 5 equals C. And if I'm missing my leg, so this is 10, this is 8, question mark. I know this is my leg because 10 is right across from the hypotenuse. And this is part of the right angle. So I know I'm missing my leg. Always label A, B, and C. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. A squared plus 8 squared equals 10 squared. 8 squared is 64, 10 squared is 100. Subtract 64 from both sides. A squared equals 36. I'm not done because that's 8 squared. So I square root that, giving me 6. And just a reminder, if it asks you to find the distance between 2 points, so I'm just gonna randomly draw some points. It asks you for the distance between these points. It's not asking for the slope, but you could do your rise over run. Let's say this was rising 2 and running 3. Okay, but I'm looking for the distance. I'm not looking for the slope or the rate of change. I would use the Pythagorean theorem. I'm missing my hypotenuse. So 2 squared plus 3 squared equals c squared, and solve from there. I don't know what the square root of 13 is. Let's see. Sorry, using my phone calculator when I could just use Desmos. 13 squared is 3.6. All right. Last thing I wanted to review with you is transformation rules. Please take the time tonight or in the morning to make sure you memorize these really quickly, because at least probably 5 to 6 questions on the test may be over transformations alone. Just remember, translations, that's me sliding a figure, preserves congruence. So if I'm moving my hand back and forth, up, down, left, and right, my hand doesn't change. It stays the same, just change position. So if I'm going to the right, that would be adding to x. To the left, subtracting from x. Up, that's adding to y. Down, subtracting from y. So if I'm going 2 to the right, that'd be x plus 2, because the right is my x values and I'm adding. 5 down, that's my y values, I'm subtracting. X plus 2, y minus 5. There's my answer. Translation is the only one where you're adding and subtracting. Reflection, just memorize the rules. X-axis is x negative y, y-axis is negative xy. 90 degrees clockwise is y negative x, 180 degrees, negative x, negative y, 90 degrees counterclockwise, negative y, x. Big thing that a lot of y'all must have forgotten is dilation. This is the only one that does not preserve congruence, because it's either getting bigger or smaller. And the rule for dilation is kx, ky. This is the only one where you're multiplying to the x and multiplying to the y. Okay, so it's easy to figure out which one is talking about dilation. It's the only one that's multiplying the number. So enlargement, my k would be greater than 1 if it's getting bigger. If it's getting smaller, my k is between 0 and 1. How do I figure out how big or how small it got? New over old. So let's say that the blue one is my image. So let's say this is b prime. That's at negative 5, 5. And this right here is b. That's my pre-image, because it doesn't have the apostrophe. My pre-image is at negative 2, 2. So to figure out my scale factor, new over old, I'm going to take b prime over b. Negative 5, 5 over negative 2, 2. Well, it doesn't matter if I divide the x's or the y's here. It's going to give me the same answer. Should always give you the same answer. Negative 5 divided by negative 2, or 5 divided by 2, is 2.5. So my k value is 2.5. So it would be 2.5x, 2.5y, which makes sense. 2.5 is greater than 1. And if it got bigger, that fits. If it had gotten smaller, then my k should have been less than 1. Alrighty, guys. I know y'all are going to do awesome.